to the plus side of sewing, your weekly 30-minute TV show, only on the Fashion TV Network, featuring plus size solutions and an incredible host who's going to teach you to also fall in love with your plus size measurements. And through trial and error, episode after episode, enjoy being plus size in today's world. Featuring your incredible host, Veronica B. Cole. You're watching the plus side of sewing.
Hey, friends. Welcome back to the second to last episode of the plus side of sewing. Yeah, I cannot believe that our season 1 is just about wrapping up. So, with that being said, I know that I might look like a little sweaty mole rat today because I am fresh out of the shower, and you guys, I simply could not cool down, even though I took a nice cool shower. I've got my ice cold water next to me though, because who knows, your girl is in her 40s, so it could be early menopause. I digress. Today, just in time for the heat that is heating up in me, we are going to go ahead and finish up our sundress. For those who are tuning in, if you're like, oh girl, what sundress are we doing? We are doing the Aria sundress that is from Made for Mermaids. Now, in part 1, we did go ahead and put together our bodice piece, which is right here. Now, there are tiered skirts. So today we are going to go ahead and ruffle and put together those tiered skirts. So now we've got some significant amount of ruffling to do. And yes, there are ruffle foots that will help you in ruffling. That is not what we're going to do though. We're going to do all of our ruffling on the serger because y'all already know I'm a serger girly and I stand for a serger. So we're going to start out with our first tier, and I have my first tier right here. The first tier for me and my sizing is 2 pieces. The second tier is going to be 3 pieces for my size. So I love that, this is a plus size inclusive little pattern because, of course, the thick chicks deserve to be out in this heat, showing a little bit of skin as well. Now, the first thing that we're going to do is we're going to put our right sides together to create a circle with this first tier. So again, you might not be able to see the entirety of the tier because it's a larger piece of fabric, but this is what it's looking like. So this is it. So I'm going to be sewing straight down, just using my normal serger stitch. And then when it's time for me to go ahead and extend this, because we're going to sew together our other tier first as well, then we're going to gather everything before we go ahead and attach things. But I will show you what this looks like on my Bernina as far as making those tiers as long as possible. Make sure that we're all set up, and then I will move you off so that you guys can kind of get a little close up of what we're doing, or a little bit of a different view. Here we go. And as much as I know you love seeing my beautiful face, I'm going to have you take a look at what we're doing with this fabric. Now, of course, I do actually have my knife engaged, which is fine for this step. For the next step, I am going to go ahead and disengage my knife. Okay, so that's one side. Now we're going to go ahead and sew this other side together. Now, I am not going to hem this skirt. I know. It's like, oh my gosh, she's not going to hem it. I'm not. Why? Because this is a cotton lycra, and the cotton lycra fabric is fantastic because, as you can kind of see, it's already doing a little rolling action. And that's exactly what I want for my finish with this skirt. One of the other options that you can do, of course, is your normal hem. And of course, if you have a serger, you can also do a lettuce hem. Lettuce hems are super big right now. I feel like they're everywhere. In fact, for my daughter's spring break trip, my middle child, we did all of the lettuce hems for her tops. So I'm going to put that aside. Now we're going to go ahead and do this again with our second tier. Now, this is a skirt that you can actually do multiple tiers with. You can do 3 tiers, I believe, is what comes with the pattern. I opted to do 2 because I did run out of fabric, y'all. Not gonna lie. But you can do this dress in either a maxi, a midi. You could do it as a peplum top. There are so many different options that this pattern comes with, just in one pattern. And I love that for us. So now I'm gonna sew together the side seams of this second tier. Now again, this has 3 pieces in order to create that. Now, whenever we're talking about tiered skirts, the beautiful thing is that you can always create your own tiered skirt no matter what, right? One of the beautiful things about tiered skirts is that doing the math for them is super easy, and it's typically just double the fabric width of whatever the previous tier is. It is just literally that simple. Okay, so grab my other piece. I want you guys to know that keeping my pieces like separated in my office for this 2 weeks was extremely hard, but I did it. So shout out to me. And now my goal was so that before our first commercial break, we have all of our tiers assembled. So we're just about there. All right, so we're almost at this circle. Let's see. And so we're going to assemble the final piece right now. It's important that when you're dealing with like fabric that is super long, right, that you are able to keep it together. Okay. Bring this piece around because I do want to make sure that my right side stay together. I went live earlier today, and of course I was hanging out with my friends. Yes, I consider you all my friends on Instagram. And yeah, I ended up sewing not the right sides together. Definitely did a little right side to the wrong side, which is the reason why today, as I'm sewing this with you all, I'm like, make sure those right sides are together, y'all. Okay. Of course, you know, we have seam rippers for a reason. And even though seam rippers are like, they get a bad rap, you know, we celebrate even having them to use. Okay, so now that we've got our skirt pieces completely assembled, I'm going to show you what this looks like on my Bernina as far as making sure that you are able to go ahead and gather those stitches. Now on like a Brother or a Singer or any other machine, you can do this. It's just not going to look the same, okay? So I'm going to go ahead and flip you guys around. And so this is what my screen looks like on my Bernina. So for me, I'm going to tap here, and all I'm going to do is extend my stitch length and my differential feed to being as long as they possibly can go. So it's 4.5 and 2, and that's it together, okay? That's all we got to do. So we're going to go ahead and cut to our first commercial break, and when we get back, we're going to start gathering, okay, friends? So get ready.
So then I said to him, you ought to customize your car insurance with Liberty Mutual, so you only pay for what you need.
Doug, can we talk about something other than work? It's the weekend.
Yeah. Weekend. Weekends are a lot like insurance.
Yeah.
Yep. Hot dog or chicken? Hot dog.
Only pay for what you need.
Liberty, 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 liberty.
Okay, that was such a silly commercial. Let's get ready to gather. To gather, what I've done is I have, I'm going to go ahead and disengage my knife because I don't want to get rid of any of the fabric, to be completely honest. So now let's go ahead, boom, 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 and you guys are back to taking a look. So we've got our super long piece right here. We're not going to start there. We're going to go ahead and start out with our shorter piece. I'm going to go ahead and snip my tails off because I don't need them. And so now to gather, we're just going to pop this under just like how we normally would. I am going to move it back a little bit away from that seam. And then as you can even see, it's starting to gather on its own. Look at how beautiful that looks. Those gathers are looking amazing. So now one of the reasons why this is my favorite gathering method is because typically when you have to gather something, right, you have to do multiple, like you're sewing with your sewing machine and you're having to do multiple stitches, right? And listen, I don't know about you guys, but sometimes your girl just cannot get it together when it comes to making sure that I do a 1/4 inch, an 1/8 of an inch, and then like a whole other one. Then you got to pull those strings. Then if one of them comes out, you got to restitch it. You don't really have to deal with any of that when you use this gathering technique. And so we've already gone around in a circle. So now what I want to do is show you exactly what you're going to be looking for when it comes time to actually doing the gather, right? So now for today's purposes, I have two different colors of thread in here. It may not seem that way, but I've got red and then I also have hot pink, right? So what we're looking for are the two threads that are together because those are going to be our actual needle threads. And so for me, those threads are pink. This is when you're first doing it, the best thing to do is to go ahead and use threads that are different colors. So as we can see here, these two threads are pink, these are red. So these are going to be the threads that I use if I need to increase my gather. And so just like that, just like how you would normally gather, right? Now you can move these along this here channel. And so just like how it normally gathers, you can do the exact same thing here. So we're going to just go ahead and tighten this gather up a little bit. I'm going to be doing it first on one side, and then I'm going to use the other side to gather as well. The way that I'm going to see exactly how much gathering I need to do is I'm going to actually grab my top and just see what this is looking like. So again, so we've got the top piece here. And as you can see, we still have quite a bit more gathering to do. So just going to go ahead and continue that gather. And this, I feel like, produces a beautiful looking gather, you know? It's even. It's easy. Now let's size this up here. Okay, and this is looking pretty good. So now let's go ahead and do the exact same thing with this back piece as well. Now I'm not going to attach it right away. I'm going to go ahead and gather my other piece as well, because the attaching of the tiers together, that's the easy part. You know what I mean? So now I'm just going to gather so that the back side, in essence, is matching the front side. There was a really long period of time that I steered really clear of gathered pieces because I felt like it was like, oh my God, I'm not a toddler. I don't need to wear all the ruffles, all of the gathers and things like that, right? Whereas like now, okay, so this is gathered evenly. So we're going to set this aside. Whereas now I'm just like, oh yeah, we're gathering. I love that, right? Completely different feelings towards gathering. It's kind of dark. You guys back there. All right, so now we're going to do the exact same on this other side. I'm going to trim down so that way it's nothing gets kind of caught up as we gather. Okay, now it's time for us to pop this baby on into the machine. And of course, we're going to be spacing out our gather so they match the bottom of that first tier. And look at these beautiful gatherings. Okay, here we go. Now, can you leave your knife on for the gathering? You can. I just prefer not to. But it's absolutely something that you can do if you desire to. You ever look at like the fabrics that you just cut and be like, wow, I did not do the greatest, like most seamless job cutting. And that is how I'm looking at this fabric right now. Because goodness, I'm so happy that nobody will be able to see this. Okay. And we're almost towards the end here. All right, and so now it's time for us to do the same gathering technique that we just did, so that we can line up this piece, of course, with the skirt piece that we just finished gathering. Before I do that, I'm going to go ahead and reset my stitch length and my differential feet so that's ready to go when it's time for me to pop this back in there and sew. So here we go. Now, I will say that this gets kind of interesting, right? Because this is a 3-piecer, whereas, you know, the other one is a 2-piecer, which means that you can kind of choose where that extra seam is going to go. Is it going to go in the middle of your skirt? Is it going to go like in the front? Like, how do you plan on lining up? Especially because we typically line up seam to seam, right? So for me, what I'm going to do is I'm going to mark the middle of one of these tiers. So this is the middle of one. And so this is going to be like my halfway point, the way that I use the other seam in the first tier that we did. And so that way it'll be a lot easier for me to keep track of where we are as far as lining this fabric up when it comes to where it is measuring compared to that first tier. All I'm gonna say is I can't believe that people don't use this as like their gathering method. I just simply could not even deal with the other one. So I'm gonna take a look at where we're measuring in relation to this second tier. So this is my first tier, and I'm just taking this, measuring it up against this third tier so I can see how much more, not too much more. So what we're going to do is we're going to cut to commercial break while I go ahead and finish gathering this up. And then we'll be using this last segment to go ahead and sew these pieces together.
What is it?
This girl I just matched with, she likes The Office. I also like The Office.
Go to her.
She likes The Office. I'd known Monica for a whole 6 seconds. She was gonna switch to me. I object! Oh, did I mention she was getting married?
Hi, I'm Tanner. I like watching The Office and going on adventures. 6 foot. Gym rat. I want to find the Pam to my gym. And you're unlike any man I've ever met in my life.
You are unlike any woman I have ever met.
Switching has never been easier. Switch to T-Mobile and save up to $650 per line.
You're definitely not 6 feet.
T-Mobile is the leader in 5G.
Okay, friends, so we are back. I'm still gathering the back side of that skirt, but we are just getting ready to attach this. And then we'll be finishing this up because, again, like I said earlier, I don't plan on hemming this. I plan on stretching it and then doing it that way, okay? So let's go ahead and attach our top piece to our first tier. And so I've got our top piece. I'm going to go ahead and take that piece off here. And then I'm going to go ahead and, again, being mindful to put my right sides together. Now, of course, the beautiful thing of a tiered skirt is that, like, there's definitely no true right from wrong, unless you do something like add length for your booty, that sort of thing. But I did not do that here, so we're good to go. Now, if you are someone who really likes to use pins and clips, you should definitely pin or clip your garment together. We don't really have time for that today, so we're going to just be out here freestyling it, right? And I did re-engage my knife. And we are sewing straight on over those gathers. I'm so excited about this. And again, I'm just going to make sure that my seams are lining up. That for me is like the point that lets me know that I'm on the right path, right? Is being able to line those seams up. Okay, so I'm getting ready to hit one of like my side seams. Boom. Seam ripper to the side. I had to use that seam ripper earlier today. And also making sure that your lining piece is pulled nice and flush with your main garment piece is also going to be something that you want to be mindful of as well. And so I'm just pulling out like all of my extra strings so that my knife will cut them off as I go over them. Okay, so that first tier is now attached. Sure, that's good. Now, because I am someone who loves to see immediate gratification, so as you can see here, even if I wanted to stop here and use this as like kind of like a peplum top, like tunic style, I could absolutely do that. I'm not. We're going to go ahead and pop in our second tier. Again, right sides together. Now, keeping in mind that I did mark this as my center spot. So I'm going to go ahead and make sure that I line up. Like this is going to be considered my side seam for these purposes. So I'm lining up that first seam with my clip, so that way I don't have to worry about whether or not I've got that spaced out properly. Now, here's the thing. Sometimes we don't get those gathers right, and it can be frustrating. What I will say is don't allow yourself to just like not fix it. You can always fix your tiers, all of those things after the fact. Like, don't feel like that is not something that you can do. You know what I mean? Like, you can always take a tier off and redo the gathering. You can always tighten it up. I've definitely had to do that in the past. There was like a skirt that I was working on and it was so cute, but my gathers were just like, y'all, my gathers were off. And so I took the gather off and just redid it, right? So you can always redo that, you know? Do I take custom orders? I do take custom orders. And thank you for showing up on Thursday. So I do, right now I teach locally in Atlanta. And one of the things that the place that I do teach at is doing is she's looking to kind of do her online classes again. So it's funny because I have a meeting with her tomorrow about that. So I'm like, stay tuned. I may or may not have a little news for you guys. Let's see. I do primarily wear my own stuff. I'm not gonna lie. Let's see. Plus size brand who has staple items. Listen, I'm like as simple as it gets. Like, I jokingly call myself like a basic girl, right? Because I am. I like Target or like Old Navy, especially for just like some basic staples that I need to get elsewhere. Like if I'm just like, oh, I need like a t-shirt or something, right? Listen, Ava and Liv, your girl has some of their stuff right up in my closet, okay? So also, I'm super excited to share that we are going to be doing a giveaway with a shoe brand that is based out of Barcelona, Spain. Yeah, we are international, friends, international. So we're going to be doing a giveaway for some espadrilles because 'tis the season. Am I right? And so we're going to be doing that giveaway, and it's going to be done on Instagram. So make sure that you are following myself, of course, as well as the Fashion News TV, FNTV, okay, where they will have all of the details and how you can win. So what we're asking you to do, of course, is make sure you're following me, make sure you're following the Fashion News Network. And then we want you to go onto their website, and I want you to tell me what pair of shoes you would absolutely love. Like, tell me what is vibing with your style this summer, and comment that in the caption. And next week for I know it's so hard to say goodbye. So for my season premiere, or rather season finale, I will be announcing the winner. Simple as that. Okay. So if you were like, okay, girl, I love me some espadrilles, this is for you. Okay, friend. I'm almost done. I'm like, let me just get this last like 5 inches in here. So if you, the information is already posted on Instagram. So head on over, okay? Enter to win, okay? Like, seriously. Who loves free shoes, right? Also, again, espadrilles are so perfect for the summer that, like, I hope that we get a lot of entries, all right? Okay, let's see how quickly I can undress and put this on. Let's just see. I'm going to do it off screen because that's not the type of show this is, okay, friends? Ugh. Whew, yeah, I was tussling. Okay. Oh my goodness, I'm so in love. Okay. I did it. I feel like Dora the Explorer. I did it. I did it. I did it. Okay, here we go. So here we have our sundress, and we've got our tiers. I'm like, I still have my pants on. So as you can see, we have our tiers. We are gathered. We are glorious. And dare I say, like, this fuchsia is hitting on something beautiful. Now, listen, do not forget to go and enter that giveaway. I will see you all next week for our series finale. Come with questions, come ready to chat because it's going to be like a little fireside sitch, okay? Until next week, I hope you guys have a fantastic weekend, and I'll see you next Thursday.
Omar, look. Omar, check this out. Hi, yeah, I was calling to see if you do laser hair removal for men.